Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. It's the third time I'm here, so I haven't missed one Rencontres de Reims in Sustainability Sciences. So thanks to François for his invitation, and thank you for the hosts. I have the impression of being a bit the odd man in the room because I represent the private sector. I enjoy very much this kind of discussions. For me, it's a break from work. It's a moment to try to better understand the world. And it's also an occasion to share with you some thoughts which I think are very down-to-earth thoughts compared to what I have heard. It's really the local element of the value chain we have discussed this day. And I reflected, while I was preparing this presentation, I reflected on really what has changed in the last 3 years, what has changed for us as a company, and I think we have changed many of our ways. We have changed some of our business models. We are making our governance, the way we interact with our partners, change as well. And of course, the world has witnessed some important elements like Rio Plus 20. And we were in Rio Plus 20. In our company, for our company, there was a very big event prior to Rio Plus 20 that focused the attention of many people in our company. It was the World Water Forum. And I told my colleagues and management, of course, the World Water Forum is an extremely important moment in the life of our company, but just 2 months or 1 month and a half after that, there will be Rio Plus 20. And we assembled quite a sizable delegation from our mother company, GDF Suez, and also from our company, Suez Environment. Our CEO was there. Our affiliates in Spain that are responsible for business in Latin America were there. We have had a lot of meetings with our peers, with lawmakers, politicians. And one of our basic and simple idea was that, okay, so this is a new governance. All parties are invited. Civil society is invited. And the so-called major group industry is invited, so let's be part of it and let's bring our ideas and in fact let's also sell ourselves and sell our solutions. Then the other thought that came to my mind as I was listening to the conversations this morning is that what I wanted to present to you is somehow our contribution to the level of our skills and to the level of our responsibilities to this new wished for, hoped for social contract. And also the way we have constructed what I will show you, this roadmap of ours, this sustainability roadmap of ours, setting a global framework, working on the link between the global framework and the local implementation, working on setting targets, working on measuring progress, working on reporting on an annual basis. At the end of the day, it's not far away from the global discussion we have, except that we do it at a very small local microeconomic scale. But the skills we have developed, the tools we have developed, somehow, I hope, can be useful for the more global SDG setting discussion. So we have had our sustainable development roadmap. I will not go into a discussion about vocabulary, semantics, but I do agree with what was said. It's not a very good word, an all-catching word, sustainable development or sustainability. But for us, it was really a tool to really try to have a more integrated approach between our financial performance and our environmental, social, and societal inclusiveness performance. So as you can see, 2012 for us was a milestone year because it was the end of our first period of commitments, 2008-2012. And so we had this roadmap 12 commitments. This is just a graphical representation of the achievements. So they were rather good, but we have had some dilemmas, we have had some difficulties. To us, it helps us to show that really we are in between the Earth, its capacity to support humanity, and the interactions of human behavior of cities. We are there to provide solutions, technologies that hopefully reduce the human footprint on the environment and on the Earth. And this roadmap helped us to demonstrate that, and also it helped us internally by setting ourselves goals on how we, for example, protect resources. So you have here a box on. In 2008, we were recycling, I mean materially recycling 36% of all the waste we manage. At the end of 2012, we are recycling 43.2%. So it means that by the choices that we make in the investments we make, we are contributing to reduce the pressure on virgin materials by reintroducing in the economy what we call secondary raw materials. So here in this data, you don't have, for example, energy recovery. This is purely material recovery. So 43% of the waste we handle is returned into the economic cycle in either materials or composts, for example. The other example we have here is our contribution to the fight against water wastage. All the water that is lost through leakages. So this is the most obvious example. A company like us helps cities better manage their water networks. But as we go forward, the topic has broadened very much, and we are today talking a lot and selling technologies to protect watersheds, to protect the water resource, to protect ecosystems functions. So you see, we are broadening the scope of just the water networks. At the other end of the water value chain, there are also a lot of discussions about better measuring how much water we consume, how much water industries consume, buildings consume, and we are developing through our research and development, but also through partnerships with academia, smart technology, smart meters, smart sensors, to better understand the patterns of consumption and to better manage water. I am always flabbergasted by the absence of data and knowledge on water use. I mean, I always make the test. I ask people how is water built, for example, and not many people know how it is built, and even less people know how much it costs in a country like France, for example. So there is a blatant lack of knowledge, of information. We are a lot talking about resources, the availability of the molecules, but there is a surprising lack of knowledge about water. A word on ecosystems and biodiversity. Here it's a very modest recognition that despite our ambition, it proves to be a very, very complicated topic to address, and we have huge challenges to overcome in terms of definitions. What are we talking about? Our objective was that by 2012, we would identify the sites that we manage that are sensitive to biodiversity, either because they are located within or close to a natural park, an area that government have labeled as sensitive for biodiversity reasons. Sorry? It's 5 minutes, okay. Anyway, so this is just to show that we have set ourselves goals, and this is an instrument for transparency and dialogue with all our stakeholders. We were talking a lot today about setting goals, about annual reporting. So this is what we have done for ourselves, for our clients, and for the stakeholders with which we interact. This year, beginning of 2013, we have launched a new roadmap going from 2012 to 2016. The structure is more or less the same as the old one. So if you want, again, it's if you go on the website here that you have, sustainability.suezenvironment.com, you will be able to discover and learn about the commitments we take in terms of contributing to lesser pressure on resources, about social inclusion, and I will spend 2 or 3 minutes that I have left on the third pillar of our commitments, which is probably the most interesting one and the most difficult one to document and understand. And I'm talking here about how can a company like ours measure the contribution it has to develop territories. So I have prepared this slide here, which is, to me, one way of answering this question, and I will go through it. There are a lot of information, but this is also a nice link with your world, the academic world. What this slide shows is that there are some researchers and academics that have tried to calculate the net present value of positive externalities that are brought by investing in the businesses we are in. So the first case is very interesting because it's not a global scale, it's not a national level. It is in the Halifax Bay in Canada, where, in fact, it was our company, but it could have been any other company. 3 wastewater treatment plants were constructed in the late 90s, beginning of 2000. And so the positive externalities that were measured were an increase in house prices. I mean, when wastewater is treated, it generates an increase in house prices, an increase, obviously, in tourism and recreational activities, a reopening of, I don't know how you say that in English, conchiculture, the growing of oysters, and the restoration of the purification capabilities of water bodies. And as you can see, to me, these are tremendously interesting examples and data, because this is, of course, it's not the net present value of the investment we made there. It has nothing to do. It's really the net present value of the positive impacts that the water treatment has had in that particular territory, calculated over a 60 years period using a 4% discount rate. The second example I have here is another academic study on what is the net present value of a country like Algeria achieving the Millennium Development Goals by 2015 in terms of reduction of illnesses, avoidance of days lost of work because of illnesses, increase in agricultural production, etc. So obviously here the net present value is much, much higher. And the last example is also an example that is directly interesting for us. It is the net present value of positive externalities brought when cities invest, for example, in collective infrastructure to fight floods. So to me, these examples are very interesting. They are very useful. I think they're useful for us, but they are useful for the community as a whole, because it links sustainability, it links public decision-making with financial data. It's good to underpin public-private partnerships. It's good to underpin local acceptance. We can have huge debates on the hypotheses that were taken here, but this is the kind of data that we are looking for, and we are interested into participating, co-producing this kind of data. We have 5,000 sites across the world. So let's consider them as candidates for such on-the-ground, local, empirical studies. And I will stick to that. Thank you.